The clock on my lawyer's wall was stuck at 9:55. I kept staring at it, praying it would move faster or stop completely. 5 minutes. That's all that stood between me and a new life. Then my phone rang. I almost ignored it. I should have. Instead, I answered. My name is Danielle Porter, recently separated, almost legally free, and more exhausted than I'd ever admit out loud. I had spent 2 years untangling my marriage, my finances, and my self-respect from a man who never believed I deserved any of them. The caller wasn't my ex. It was his sister. Danielle, I'm already at the dealership, she said, as if we spoke every day. Have you made the transfer yet? They won't release the car without the 80,000 euros. For a second, I thought I'd misheard. What does this have to do with me? I asked. My voice was calm, too calm. She laughed lightly, like I was being difficult on purpose. Don't be silly. You're family. You always handle these things. My attorney shifted beside me and cleared his throat in that quiet, deliberate way he used when something mattered more than it looked on the surface. Down the corridor, the judge's assistant appeared, glanced in our direction, then stepped back inside as if time itself were being measured in careful, official breaths. Behind me, the room carried that low, constant murmur of legal ritual, paper sliding, shoes against polished floors, voices kept just below the level of disruption. Everything about it suggested order, finality, an ending that had been processed, stamped, and sealed. And yet there I was, standing on the edge of what should have been freedom, feeling a familiar pull, trying to drag me backward into a life I had already fought to leave behind. The phone was still pressed to my ear. The connection hadn't dropped. Neither, it seemed, had the expectation that I would keep playing my part. She spoke with easy confidence, like someone discussing arrangements that had already been agreed upon, as if the outcome were inevitable and I was simply a formality. It's technically your ex's car, she said, her tone light, almost casual. But he asked me to take care of everything. You've always been better with payments. You know how to handle these things. My attorney leaned closer, his voice barely above a whisper. Put her on speaker. I hesitated for only a second before doing exactly that. The shift was immediate. Something in the air changed, subtle but unmistakable. The confidence that had filled her voice thinned out, like a script that suddenly didn't fit the stage anymore. Silence stretched between us, long enough to feel deliberate. Danielle, she said finally, her voice no longer as smooth. Are you still there? Yes, I replied, steady. And I'm asking you again, why are you calling me? There was a pause, the faint rustle of movement on her end, a door closing somewhere in the background, the sound sharper than it needed to be. Because you ruined my brother's life, she snapped, the calm dropping away all at once. The least you can do is help him start over. There it was, the version of the story they had been repeating for 2 years straight. Not the truth, not the betrayal, the lies, the empty accounts, just the narrative that painted me as the one who walked away and left destruction behind. My attorney scribbled something quickly on his notepad and angled it toward me. No transfer, no admission. I glanced down the hallway where the courtroom doors stood closed, heavy and unmoving, as if they were holding the weight of every ending that had ever passed through them. 5 minutes. That's all it would take. 5 minutes to finalize what had already been broken for far longer than that. Your brother is about to be my ex-husband, I said slowly, choosing each word with care, and I am not his bank. She let out a sharp, disbelieving sound. You're being petty on the most important day of his life. That almost made me laugh, because the most important day of my life was happening right now, in this hallway, in this moment, and she was still trying to rewrite it into something that belonged to him. The courtroom door opened with a quiet creak, and the assistant stepped out, gesturing for me to come inside. My sister-in-law kept talking, her words coming faster now, sharper, like someone losing control of something they thought they had already secured. He trusted you. Our whole family trusted you. You don't just get to walk away like this. I paused, just for a second. The marble floor beneath me felt cold and solid. The air was still. My reflection appeared faintly in the glass beside me, unfamiliar in its steadiness, and for the first time that morning, I felt something shift. Not exhaustion, not pressure, clarity. I'm not walking away from anything, I said quietly. I'm stepping out of something that was never mine to carry. My attorney reached over and gently took the phone from my hand. This call is inappropriate. Do not contact my client again. He ended it before she could respond. Inside the courtroom, everything unfolded with calm precision. Chairs moved softly, papers were aligned, passed, reviewed. The judge spoke in a tone that was measured, almost kind, as if acknowledging that endings didn't need to be loud to be final. What had once been chaos, arguments, accusations, promises, betrayals, was reduced to clear, structured language. Legal terms replaced emotional weight. Everything that had once felt overwhelming was now contained within documents and signatures. And when it was done, when the final word was spoken, it didn't feel dramatic. It felt light, lighter than I had expected. But as I stepped back into the hallway, my phone vibrated again. A message, not from anyone I knew, a dealership, Payment still pending. Please confirm immediately. I stared at the screen, my heartbeat steady, not racing, because something inside me had already changed. Freedom, I realized, wasn't just a signature on paper. It was a decision about what I would no longer respond to. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked out of the courthouse, back to my attorney's office, and sat down in a chair that felt more solid than anything had in a long time. My hands trembled slightly, but my mind didn't. They were testing you, my attorney said quietly, leaning forward. That landed deeper than I expected, because he was right. For 2 years, I had been the one who fixed things, the one who stepped in, who smoothed over problems, who made sure everything kept functioning, even when it shouldn't have. The divorce hadn't just been about leaving a marriage. It had been about leaving that role. My phone buzzed again. Another message. Don't make this difficult, Danielle. Just send the money. I looked at the words and felt nothing that I used to feel. No guilt, no panic, no urge to explain. I started typing a response, then stopped, because responding at all meant I was still part of the conversation they wanted me in. I turned the phone face down. Outside, distant bells rang from the courthouse, and something settled into place. This wasn't a crisis. It was a choice. I didn't rush to act. I went home. The apartment looked exactly the same. Boxes half packed, curtains barely moving in the light breeze, the kettle sitting where I'd left it, but it didn't feel the same. I didn't feel the same. That evening, I wrote an email, clear, direct, without emotion. I have no financial responsibility for this vehicle. I did not agree to any purchase, transfer, or guarantee. Do not contact me regarding payment again. I attached the finalized documents. Then I waited. The responses came quickly. The dealership backed down first. Formal apologies, canceled invoices, clean corrections. My ex sent a message next. Long, chaotic. I didn't read it past the first line. His sister tried calling from another number. I let it ring. What surprised me wasn't their reaction. It was mine. I wasn't rehearsing explanations. I wasn't trying to be understood. For the first time in years, I wasn't negotiating my right to say no. And in that quiet, something became clear. If I could refuse this, I could refuse everything else too. Days passed, then more. The calls shifted away from me, toward him, exactly the way it used to be reversed. The panic, the urgency, the pressure, it all found its way back to its source. His messages came in waves. Anger, pleading, silence. I ignored all of them because I understood now. Every word was an attempt to pull me back into something I had already stepped out of. His sister didn't let go as quickly. One last message reached me through someone else. She thinks she's untouchable now. I almost smiled. Not out of spite, out of recognition, because what she meant wasn't untouchable. She meant unreachable. The leverage was gone. That evening, I sat on my balcony, holding a cup of tea that had finally cooled enough to drink. Traffic moved below. Somewhere nearby, someone laughed. Life continued, steady, ordinary, and I thought about the version of myself who would have sent the money just to keep the peace. The version who believed that love meant sacrifice without limits. I didn't hate her, but I didn't want to be her anymore. A week later, he showed up, unannounced, standing at my door like someone who had rehearsed every version of this conversation and still wasn't sure which one would work. You didn't have to humiliate me, he said. I didn't, I replied. I just refused to pay for something that isn't mine. He looked past me, at the life I was rebuilding. Boxes labeled not with obligation, but with intention. My sister says you've changed, he added. I almost laughed. I stopped changing for you. That was the truth. Simple, unavoidable. When he left, he asked one final question. Do you miss us? I answered honestly. I miss who I thought we were, not who you showed me you were. And when the door closed, there was no weight left behind. No guilt, no fear, just quiet. A month later, a final message arrived. The car had been returned. The contract canceled. Everything closed. I didn't celebrate. I just placed the confirmation somewhere I could see it. Not as proof, as a reminder. Life didn't transform overnight. There was no dramatic ending, just a steady shift. Calls stopped. Messages faded. People adjusted. Boundaries held. I changed my number, not because I had to, because I chose to. One evening, while finishing the last of the packing, I found our wedding photo. I looked at it for a long moment. Then I placed it in the trash. No tears, no hesitation, just a quiet understanding. This was never about a car, or money, or even the divorce. It was about finally realizing that freedom isn't something given, it's something you decide to keep. And this time, I did.